Welcome to Camp Content, where today's episode is a master class in mastering your message. We're thrilled to introduce our guest, Sabine Kvenberg, a seasoned communication and confidence coach, author, and former director and actress. You know, anybody who knows the entertainment business is really good at this stuff because we've been through it. So Sabine's illustrious career began in Europe and flourished further when she founded a performing arts school in the United States, a cradle for aspiring entertainers. What it doesn't say in this bio is that you ran that for 26 years, if I'm not mistaken, which is massively impressive. With her celebrity signature message coaching, Sabine empowers entrepreneurs to captivate audiences, make impactful presentations, and shine in the business spotlight. She is the author of Secrets on How to Succeed in Showbiz, distinguished Toastmaster, and a finalist in Toastmasters International Speech Contest. Sabine's accolades speak volumes, but it's her hands-on approach blending music, movement, and storytelling that truly sets her apart. Whether it's through her STAR framework or advocating for the power of video content, we love that. Sabine is dedicated to helping small business owners and accidental entrepreneurs communicate confidently, connect authentically, and convert leads into clients. So get ready for insights on overcoming public speaking fears, engaging video presentations, and the art of authentic communication from a woman who's crossed the Atlantic with dreams that have since been transformed into a legacy, with 4 suitcases and a big idea. So let's jump right in. Welcome to the show, Sabine. So lovely to have you here.
Thank you, Molly. It's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to speaking to you and your audience.
Yes, me. So I got to know the story of you and the 4 suitcases and heading to America for this dream. So tell us a little bit about that origin story there.
Well, as you mentioned, I was a stage and TV actress in Europe for 10 years. And then that's where I met my now husband. And then we traveled the world and putting shows on all over the world. But at one point, you have to ask yourself the question, all right, what's next? And we knew that we wanted to settle down. And my husband is from the States. He is American. I'm German. And so we were discussing what are we going to do. He lived in Germany for a couple of years, but then we made a decision. We want to pass on the passion for the performing arts to a new generation and start our own business, a performing arts school. So literally that was our dream. And we sold everything and literally had 4 suitcases. That was our possession that we took with us and started all over. And that was the beginning of a dream that became reality and that led to so many wonderful opportunities and many options and opportunities to serve on a greater level.
It's amazing. And you ran that school for 26 years, is that correct?
No, it's not quite correct. It's 27 years.
27? Okay, I knew I was.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
That's impressive, though. I mean, you got to really bend and sway with the tide on something like that to run something for 27 years. And even though you could argue that doesn't, arts and theater and it doesn't really change, but it does because the world is constantly changing and people change. So like when you started your business and when you closed it, I'm sure it was, a very evolved, operation. And so kudos to you for that, because that's super impressive,
Thank you.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talking about change, we were the only studio in town, the only school that offered all of that. And that led to many people copying us, many of our students starting their school grade, and also a theater to come into our town and actually were asking us to collaborate with them, which we did for many, many years. So it's really quite interesting. And the other thing is, as far as what's changed, when there is, of course, more competition and a growing economy, you have to adapt. You have to adapt. Talking about marketing, I was the first business in where we lived. We had a website because that's when we started out, basically. And so we were the first who collected money online while others still had to collect checks. So you have to stay on track. You have to be a forerunner for everything.
So what was the catalyst in closing that business? Because that's a big deal. That's a big decision to make that. What made that happen?
That's an interesting question. And I believe we all grow in our lives, in our businesses. And there was a point where I started already going into different areas. It all began by me helping aspiring actors to get their start in the entertainment industry. I searched them, I prepared them, got them in front of agents and casting directors, which then led to writing my first book, Secrets on How to Succeed in Showbiz. And one of the things that I noticed when I worked with talent is only 20%. 80% is your mindset and everything. And that's when I started that workbook that turned into a book. And then I started speaking for other audiences, and they wanted to have another book, a book to leave behind or take with them. And that's my second, unlock your full potential. So it's really a journey that led me to where I am now. And after, I was already like 24 years, it was like, it's time for me to move on, to serve another audience and everything that I've learned along the way, the mindset and so forth. And then we had our 25th anniversary show. And I said, that's a great place to then stop and move on. But guess what? The pandemic hit. Boom. Then what do you do with the business when you have to close your doors? In Virginia,
Right.
we were not allowed to operate. So boom, now I had to start thinking again.
Right.
What do we do differently to not lose the business? And obviously the business went down a little bit, of course, but we started everything online. But despite the fact, I said to my husband, we already lived in Florida. My school was in Virginia, so I went back and forth a couple of times a year. I said, it's time for me. I love it here, and I love coaching, and I love to now work with more entrepreneurs. And that was the catalyst for me to say, okay, this is it. I made it public, and then the right person came along to take over.
That's amazing. I can definitely, sorry, Matt, I can definitely relate to that because my story is kind of similar. I was in the entertainment business for 22 years and working with artists. And yeah, it's a real mindset shift, with different people for sure. It's working with artists can be really difficult because they're narcissistic by nature, which you kind of have to be in order to get up on stages and perform in front of people. And it was really kind of difficult. And so I really like the shift of working with entrepreneurs and people who are excited about creating the future and automation and, everything else. It's a slightly different type of person that you're working with when it's, a creative versus an entrepreneur, even though there's a lot of similarities,
It is yes and no. I believe we always can be the light in whatever industry we are working with, if this is what you put to the forefront. And that's always have been a very high point of mine, also working in the entertainment industry. Same thing with entrepreneurs. And that's the beauty, Molly. We can pick and choose the people that we want to work with, because not everybody is a fit for me or you or anybody. And
Exactly.
so, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Working with entrepreneurs is just it's on a different level.
Different. Yeah. Matt, were you about to say something? I cut you.
No, I was just like, most people get the 25-year anniversary and you're like, yeah, we're doing great. Let's keep going. You're like, we made it. Let's shut it down.
Let's do something different.
Like, finally, got to 25. Boom, cut it off.
Yeah, that's it.
No, it's interesting because, like you mentioned, you were like, earlier you said, like, like we're the first to kind of start selling stuff, online and getting paid via that way. So is there anything else that kind of in your journey that you were maybe the first to do in terms of growing the coaching business or the content marketing or with clients or anything? Is there something else that you can think of? You're like, we were kind of the first to do this as well.
Well, combining my background in the entertainment industry, and then the next step, I was also a musical theater performer. But throughout my journey, I started writing my own music for actually my clients. Actually, for me, it started out really for me and my church congregation, but then it turned into empowering music, because music is such an important part in how we communicate, because music is another form of communication. And when you combine music with content, and when I work with my clients, I oftentimes take music to get them into the state, the right state of mind, so they can, and also physical state, so they are pumped up and like, yes, I'm ready to go. Now I can present my talk. But also when you incorporate music in your marketing materials, that is empowering. It's a different level. So I think maybe that is one of the things, combining my experience as actress on stage in front of the camera, as director behind the camera, and also making sure that everybody's doing the perfect presentation on stage, right? Guiding them, and my business experience, as well as being a Toastmaster. So I married all of that, and that became very powerful. So now I have like a very holistic approach with everything.
I love it. I love that you use me. I've never heard anybody say that they use music before, but that's super interesting because it is. I mean, I'm going deaf in my old age, and so I have to listen to everything with subtitles. And I'm like, what is jaunty music, right? Because they always tell you, they describe what kind of music is playing, but with those descriptors, you really do notice even more how much the music they play on every single TV show and every single movie really sets the tone for what's happening in that conversation, right? And I spent so much, 20 plus years in the music business. So like I understand it, but I've never really thought about combining those two together. And I know you do a lot of storytelling. So can you talk to us a little bit about your celebrity signature message and what is that? And
Absolutely. I'm happy to. So first of all, I believe we all are celebrities. We don't have to be movie stars to be a celebrity, because if you're a celebrity means you have this uniqueness within you. And that's what I'm pulling out of my clients. And storytelling is a very huge aspect of creating your message. As I mentioned, I am from Germany, and once in a while I visit my family. And the other time that I was there, we all went to this huge carnival. And my niece said, "Oh, Sabine, let's go on to this new roller coaster ride." And I'm not very fond of rides, but of course I want to look cool, right? I said, sure. So we went up that steep hill, and I got this knot in my belly. Doubts came in, and fears, and then regrets. Why did I do this? Why did I do this? And I couldn't see the ground anymore. And then there was the pinnacle, the top. And I knew I couldn't go back, right? There's no way. So when I was at the top, I just closed my eyes and prayed that I come alive at the bottom. And before you know it, I was there, and I didn't remember half of it.
right.
Now, this is what you sometimes can connect to public speaking, or compare. Here we go. That's the right word. Compare to public speaking. We all know we have to do it, either in our personal lives as a bridesmaid or a good man, or in our business. We have to connect with our ideal audience. We have to convey our message powerfully so that we can grow our businesses. But when you go up, or before you go up there, you have those doubts, those fears, like going up on stage, like going up that steep hill, right? All of this comes in. And when you are finally there and you are on stage or in front of the camera, give your presentation, before you know it, you're at the end and don't remember half of it. And then you ask yourself, did I say it the right way? Oh, did I have the right call to action? And when you see this, then I said, okay, how can I become better? How can I get rid of the jitters and do the right presentation so I remember exactly what I said? I know exactly what I want my audience to take away with. And I did the correct call to action so people then do what I asked them to do. That's the power of knowing how to speak. And that's what I do in my celebrity signature talk.
It's amazing. I've done a lot of public speaking and I never had any nerves or jitters around it. And then I was speaking at the Podfest Expo the year of the pandemic in 2020. It was like the last event before everything shut down. And 5 minutes before I got on stage, I found out that a very close friend of mine died. And then it just like every time I go to get on stage now, I have all this like nervousness that I've never ever felt before. I mean, you could hand me a microphone anywhere and I would have no fear. But now it's kind of evolved into that a little bit. So you never know like what outside force or what emotional response you're going to have or your nervous system, right? So I think so much of it is like learning how to control that, being confident in your message, being confident in your call to action, really having that nailed down, because you just never know. Up until then, I was, probably a little too confident to get on stage, quite frankly. And so I think having those frameworks is really, really important for sure.
And what you said is so true, Molly. We never know what comes up. And as performer, believe me, I had to go on stage, no matter if I was sick, no matter of what message I received, you still have to perform. But that's what I teach with with my client work. When I work with my clients, I teach my 3 P's, and that's prime, prepare, and present. And when you prime yourself the correct way, do something in the right way over and over again, then when you come up, either going on stage or receiving a message that you did, by all means, you can get through it in a different way. And then the preparation, what you want to do, you want to make sure that you have the talk in the right way and the right sequences, so you know exactly what the outcome is.
Yeah, that's it. That is exactly it. Having a really good talk makes it a lot easier to be really confident going into a situation like that.
And then the last, to finish this out, of course, the presentation. Oftentimes, people do not know how to present. I mean, there's so many mistakes that you want to avoid. Pacing is one of them. Or if you're in front of the camera, if you do big movements, you're out of the frame, right?
Right.
And do you have the right vocal variety? Do you have the right body language? Oh, that's another way of communicating, right? See, people don't remember what you said, but they always remember how you made them feel. And that is huge.
Amen to that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Amen to that. So, let's talk about business in 2024, because I think we're in a big shift right now, right? Like 20% of the workforce has just been laid off. The market's really changing. The marketplace is changing. I think you're going to have an increase in business because there's going to be a lot of C-suite people that are getting dislodged from businesses that are now going to take new approaches and maybe do some speaking or maybe start their own businesses. So what are you looking for in 2024 as far as your business development and how you're going to get in front of new people to sell your services? What is your angle there?
Speaking. And I can only advise anybody who's perhaps starting even their own business, because as you mentioned, layoffs, some of them become what we call accidental entrepreneurs, because now what? Okay, I do have a skill. How about I teach it or I share it myself? And the best way to do it is to speak. Go on other people's stages, on podcasts or many other stages, either virtual stages or real stages. And when you know how to share your story, how to convey your message in a very effective way, how to know how to ask for people's business and how to create that trust, then that is huge. That is a huge advantage to anybody who does not speak, who not take advantage of the best unique you that you are.
So you keep talking about ways to be successful and all this. So is there a story where content marketing or kind of speaking made a significant impact on your client acquisition, like bringing people in, or like a certain speech that, you may gave or you picked some people up, and you talked about earlier how you kind of look back and remember exactly what you said. Is there something, if you can think of that success story, is there a way you can think back and be like, maybe I caught them at this exact part of this speech or anything?
That's hard to say. But one thing that, and we are recording this year and I can see your faces, when I started sharing my story, the roller coaster story, I saw both of you smiling, right? So you were transported into my scene, right? I think you probably, am I right, if you kind of saw me going up the roller coaster? So, and that is when you grab people's attention and they are part of your world or part of your scene, and they can see how you can help them. I once did like an online workshop. I think that was during the pandemic. I did a camera confidence boot camp. That's what I did. And people got really connected to me when I started sharing those personal stories that they can relate to. You want to share a story that everybody can relate to. I mean, everybody can relate to a roller coaster, to a carnival, right? And when you do that, wow, I saw the responses on the Facebook. Oh my gosh, this was so powerful. I can't wait for day 2 and so forth. And that then leads to, hey, the next thing is ABC, whatever your other programs are that can help them. But you want to connect there first. And that's when I saw that, when you share those powerful stories that connect with your audience.
Yes. All right. So let's do a little lightning round. I have some questions teed up for you. And
okay.
So these will just be kind of fun. Hopefully they'll be fun. And it touches on a lot of the things that we talked about. So are you ready to jump right into the lightning round?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I am.
All right. Okay, here we go. What is one book or resource that revolutionized your understanding of content marketing or marketing your business in general?
It all goes back to Think and Grow Rich.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. What's your number one tip for creating engaging video content?
Be yourself and make sure that you always have a call to action.
Amen. I can't tell you how many.
And stay in frame.
Yeah, and stay in frame. I can't tell you how many talks I did with no real CTA, and I teach my clients all the time to have a CTA on their podcast, so then I did the same thing. So I have to agree. Number 3, can you name a tool that you consider essential for content creation?
My iPhone. I mean, this is the simplest way. I mean, I use a lot of tools, but oftentimes I have my iPhone with me, and today it has the greatest camera, the greatest sound. And sometimes I am somewhere and I'll pick it up because I need to share this. And hey, and you can upload it so easily. I mean, if I can pick one, that's the easiest, simplest that anyone can use.
Amen. These phones can do so much these days. Even on video calls like this, you can get a great little microphone that plugs into your phone, and then you can do first-person videos, you can do interviews, you can do even Zoom calls and stuff, and your phone camera is almost always going to be better than your laptop. So I think if people really lean into what their phone is capable of, they'd be pretty surprised, right? Especially
exactly. I always have this little microphone that I stick into my iPhone, and that's actually how I started my first podcast at Podfest in 2017.
Wow!
I was so inspired, and I started recording my first episode while at Podfest in my car using my music as an intro, which is live your life out loud, right? I invite you to be free. So it's just live your life out loud, throw away your doubts, let your spirit shout, live your life out loud. So that was already pumping up, and I recorded my first episode. Sometimes that's how easy it is when you have your iPhone right there with a nice microphone. Poof, you can do anything.
There you go. Well, I think it's important to mention the nice microphone, right? You can't do everything from your phone, but you can with a nice microphone.
Right.
I love that you sang for us. That's amazing. Okay. What is the most common speaking mistake that you see people making?
Well, quite a few, but the biggest mistake is pacing from one side to another, or rocking back and forth, because they're so nervous. That's the from the visual part, right? And the second is with your voice. There's no vocal variety. You speak way too fast because you're so nervous, and you speak so fast, and the tempos, and nobody can understand, and nobody can even sit back. It's like you're getting, a water hose there, the content, right? And you lose your audience. So I think this would be the two most common. I mean, there's several others, but that sticks out.
I would say the fast speaking's got to be the worst.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
That's
like,
me.
Like as a listener, if you're hearing somebody and you're like, again,
that was me.
Exactly.
That was me. I did a
down.
presentation at She Podcast, and I don't know what happened. I misjudged my time, and then I was kind of rushing there, and I wasn't totally ready. And I mean, I was a hot man. I was sweating. I was pacing. I was talking too fast. I was doing all of the things. It was the first time I presented since my friend had passed away, and it just really. So yeah,
well, we
I've
see
improved
a lot of that
since then. But it was
on
pretty
our
good.
side of things with the podcast part. You get people come on here and they're just firing through questions, or maybe they were doing a solo episode and they're just like, brrr. I'm like, I'm going to need you to redo that and take it down a notch. Slow it down a bit.
Slow it down a little bit. Okay. Oh, this is a good one because we talked about this one. Live or pre-recorded? What format do you prefer for online presentations?
I use both, but here's one little tip I give everybody, especially when they start out and you want to get some feedback. Do it live. If you have a webinar, for example, do it live so you get feedback from the audience. And when you do things live, you maybe make more mistakes that you can maybe take out when you do recordings. And I have to raise my hand here and say, guilty as it is, because I seem to be a perfectionist. When you come from the field of acting as a director and as a performer, everything has to be perfect. You have to make sure all the lines are perfect. You have to make sure your hair and your makeup is perfect. And so that was my biggest hurdle. Mm-hmm. And it took me a long time to get over that because everything had to be perfect. And I had to remind myself, no, and not English being my first language. I was self-conscious about that as well. And eventually I said, okay, Sabine, so what if you make a mistake? So what if you do past tense and not present tense or whatever?
Right.
People still will know what you meant, and they see that you're just like them. Mm-hmm. Imperfection, perfection. So here you go.
Yeah, I love that. I can relate to that too, living in Costa Rica and learning a new language for sure. Okay. And then the last one that I have for you is, what is your quickest method for overcoming anxiety before getting on a stage?
Breathing. That's the prime. That's one of the primes I'm teaching, that deep breathing, but the right breathing. Because here you have like this shallow breathing right here, up here, and you cannot slow that down. You have to bring it back into your belly. The deep belly breathing. That's the number one. And the number two, how you prime yourself, is that you already know when this comes up And that doubt, like, oh, you can't do it. What do people think? So, oh, stop. Sabine said, you got that. You got that. You prepared. And even if you make a mistake, so what? You just be you, and that is perfect. Those are the two things.
I love it. Breathing is always, it's amazing how it's such a simple thing that we're all doing all day long, hopefully, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it can really mess you up, like when you're really stressed out and all of a sudden you go, it's because you've been holding your breath the whole time. So yeah, that deep belly breathing can really go a long way. Well, Sabine, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been a lot of fun. I love that you sang for us. We don't get a lot of singing on the show, so
yeah, that was good.
That's
Maybe the second time in 35 episodes or so.
Exactly.
Second time somebody sung.
Exactly. So
because I can't remember who it was that like wrote you or wrote us like a custom.
It was
song
Connell. Actually, it was 3 times.
Connell,
because,
that's right. 3 times
because somebody else sang for us too on it was a different podcast, but still, it's a good one. So. Well, Sabine, thank you for coming on the show. For all the people who have been listening who are interested, which I'm sure they are, because, I have to say, personally that I know my biggest aggregator of business is public speaking. When I go out and I speak about podcasting and business development and things like, relationship building, I always get a client from that. And so I totally understand the importance of public speaking and putting yourself out there. I feel like when you do that, then you attract the people that you want to work with. You attract your tribe, right? And so I curse a little bit. I'm a little irreverent. I crack jokes. I talk some back about people in a kind way, like not in a rude way, but just to make people laugh and to loosen up a little bit. And that's not everybody's style, but the people who do like it really want to work with me because they're like, they're the type of energy in person. So I am a huge fan of getting more speaking engagements, speaking at, networking events, in your community, whether it's like a women's event or a men's event, but really putting yourself out there. And I would imagine almost everybody could probably use your services. So what is the best way for people to connect with you if they are interested in learning your STAR method and your signature, series, all of that? How can they get with you?
The best way, just go to SabineKvenberg.com, SabineKvenberg.com /resources. Okay. That's where you can download some free ones. But if you want to talk with me right away, if you say, I need to talk with Sabine, just go to talktosabine.com.
Amazing. Look at that. You know what you're doing, Sabine. I got to tell you, I got to hand it. It is clear. It is very clear.
Yep.
Well, thank you for coming on the show today. We really appreciate it. I love how we connected and here we are recording a podcast together, 2024, yes. Here we come. So thank you for being on the show today, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Thank you all for coming to the show today and tuning in to Camp Content. This year, we're really going to focus on how people are getting business in 2024, how they're nurturing their business development, and bringing in those new clients, because I know that the market's changed, things have changed, and I know it's a question on everybody's mind, so hopefully we're going to answer it for you this season. So thank you for tuning in. Please, if you enjoyed this content, if you found it valuable, please share it on LinkedIn, tag us, do all of the things. If you want to give us a like on iTunes, that's cool, but iTunes is not where it's at. So thank you again. Have a great week, and we'll see you on the next one. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Camp Content. This is Molly.
And this is Matt.
And we are Heartcast Media, a.k.a. Camp Content, and we appreciate all of your support. If you found this content valuable, please comment on social media, LinkedIn, wherever you find us, and we will make sure to comment back.
And be sure to go on and subscribe and like on your favorite platforms, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, you name it. Leave us that subscription. Leave us that good review.
We'll love you forever. So until next time, be excellent to each other, and we'll see you next week.
Produced by Heartcast Media.